Welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, a daily look at an area football team and our key questions that we're going to be answering about that team in our August 16th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood. And tonight, Dan, we have our final Countdown to Two-A-Days series episode. We've got the Abilene Eagles, and Two-A-Days start tomorrow, if you can believe it. Tomorrow. Wow.
Yeah, our countdown ends with Abilene High, and this is, I think, a really intriguing team this year. They went 6-7, reached the third round of the Class 6A D2 playoffs, and that's not uncommon for this Abilene High program to have modest records and just get better and better as the year goes on, and by the end of the year be a really good team. And that was kind of the case for them last year, and they returned a good group back from that bunch. They got 36 lettermen back. They lost 29. Among those returners are 8 offensive and 4 defensive starters. They're a little more experienced on the offensive side this year than the defense, but I know that they've got plans on building on the success they had last year, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the questions that they'll have to answer to do that. So, but this is, I think, going to be a very interesting year for the Abilene High Eagles.
All right, before we take a look at Abilene, we want to remind you YouTubers to please hit the subscribe button. And then once you hit the subscribe button, please hit that little bell so you'll get notifications every time we have a new podcast here at Big Country Preps. And our Wednesday night podcast will be getting underway shortly. So this will be a nice way to keep up with us throughout the school year.
All right, with that, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's wrap up our Countdown to Two-A-Day series with these Abilene High Eagles and talk about some of the questions they face. One of the big ones for me is how much farther ahead will the offense be this year than it was to start last year. Last year was a fairly substantial rebuild on that side of the football. And it kind of showed early in the season. They struggled to get going early in the season offensively. They made a switch to a freshman at quarterback, Braden Henry, about midway through district play, and he started all of their playoffs games. And it really kind of breathed some life into that offense. Really explosive kid, great athlete, not real big, only 5'9", 160, but extremely fast. He kind of changed the dynamic of that offense. I'm interested to see what their offense will look like with him at the quarterback position for a full year. They've got a 1,000-yard rusher in Bam Rashall back. You got some good receivers back, but I think that Henry really just opens up some things that offense in terms of explosiveness that I think will be fun to watch from the start of this season. That's something they didn't necessarily have at the beginning of last season. I'm excited to see if maybe they can be that explosive offense from the very beginning this year.
Under Mike Fullen, Abilene has traditionally played very well defensively, and he has done a good job at rebuilding defenses and continuing that tradition. This year is kind of going to be like the ultimate test for them. They've only got 4 kids back. They lost 5 kids that signed collegiately. They lost a Henley kid to Angelo State. Kenneth Johnson goes to McMurray. Kwame Collins goes to Angelo State. Noah Hatcher goes to Midwestern State. Tristan Hall goes to McMurray. That's a lot of talent to replace. That's tough to replace. So that is the key question. How close can they come to last year's performance defensively? That's going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, and they were really, really good defensively last year. That was a very good unit that allowed less than 20 points per game. But yeah, you are right. They lost a lot of that production. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of can rebuild that unit. And that kind of leads me into the final question I have is we're now getting to a point where we've seen, I guess, 4 years with Coach Fullen at Abilene High as their head coach. He was their longtime DC before that. But I'm interested to see kind of just the level of consistency, continuity, and how those things help. I think we've seen now some trends with the Mike Fullen era Abilene High program. I mentioned it earlier. This is a team that you can pretty much ignore their regular season record. If they get into the playoffs, they're going to be a dangerous football team. And I'm interested to see just kind of how those things kind of are built into their identity now. I think these are teams that are mentally tough, that are able to overcome adversity because they kind of expect that now. And I'm interested to see kind of what impact that has for a team like this one that will be rebuilding on the defensive side. So you'll probably see some growing pains early, but this is a team that's gotten just so good at handling those things and just slowly improving over the course of the season. I'm interested to see just kind of what that looks like now that we're getting to a point where Coach Fullen's program is established. I mean, there was a period there where he was a first-time head coach, then kind of a young head coach. Now we're talking about a guy whose program is developing that identity, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch that aspect with this particular team as well.
And with that, let's take a quick look at Abilene's schedule for 2023. We'll start with the non-district portion first. August 25th will be the season opener, and that's going to be at Ratla Stadium in Odessa, where they'll face the Permian Panthers. Then September 1st, they'll square off with arch rival Abilene Cooper at Shotwell. Then they'll have Midland Legacy on September the 8th. That'll be a home date, followed by a road date at Wolfforth Friendship to end the non-district portion of the schedule, and then jumping right into district without a bye date.
Yep, they don't have their open date until the final week of the season, November 3rd. So that means that they're going to be 10 straight weeks of football. But they do open district on September 22nd at Lubbock Monterey. They follow that with a home game against Amarillo Tascosa. Go to Amarillo Caprock on October 6th, followed by a home date against Lubbock Cooper. It should be a big game for them. Then they travel to Lubbock Coronado on October 20th before wrapping up the regular season at home against Amarillo High on the 27th of October. So you look at that schedule, that's kind of a vintage Abilene High schedule. They're now playing their old Little Southwest Conference rivals in the non-district instead of district, but then they jump right into a really good, tough, competitive, just parity-rich district schedule. It should be fun to watch. This Abilene High team, I think, is well prepared to attack it, and I'm excited to watch it.
All right, and with that, it's about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Abilene Eagles. But before we do that, we want to remind you that August 16th is the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's the day that we release our preseason football preview. It'll have more than 40 team previews for 11-man. It'll have 40 player features, more than 40 player features. We'll have a 6-man preview. We'll have stats. We'll have predictions, we'll have opinion pieces, we'll have video, we will have a ton of preseason information, the most comprehensive look at big country football from any media source in the entire state of Texas. Don't forget to sign up August 16th.
In the meantime, we just want to thank you for joining us for this, our final episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And just make sure you stick with us. Like Evan said, we're going to be releasing our preseason football preview on the 16th of August, and we will keep you covered throughout the football season. If you are looking for really good information on the high school football scene, you will definitely want to be at Big Country Preps this fall. So thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to providing y'all some great information from this football season.